Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show. It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans, the podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. Today's podcast, we're talking about a Florida teacher having pictures of Black historical figures pulled from his bulletin board by the school district. Then the FBI's raid on Trump's home, and a hockey player getting a six-figure speeding ticket. Before we get into the show, I've got to introduce you to my fantastic co-hosts. First up, our gamer, tech guru, rock star with the rock band Fallen Machine, coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Mr. Robbie Rock.
Thank you. I hope that everyone is enjoying a salutiferous Sunday.
Salutiferous. I love
It
it.
means restorative.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's been a busy week at my end. I worked remotely this week, and during my lunch hours, I completed assembling the walls for the Playstar Cliffhanger. Basically, it's an octagon with 8-foot walls for kids, well, of all ages, I suppose. But Joe and I erected the entire project yesterday, and we were really pleased with the end results. Not quite done yet. Still needs a little bit more sand to cushion any falls, and a few more rock climbing holds. And yeah, there's going to be adding a swing to it also. So it's won't, of course, be complete until the nieces and our granddaughter get to paint something on it. But
Wow.
so many hours of labor and love went into this, so I'm really excited
So
to
cute.
see their faces when they see it.
Wow. All right.
Aw,
Sounds like
love
fun.
that.
I'm sure they'll love it. All right, next up, our college student, actress, model, entrepreneur, streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Gianni Storm.
Hey guys,
What's up,
it
Gianni?
has been a very busy week. I told you guys to pray for me, so hopefully you have. But it's been a smooth week, but it's been a busy week. And some good news coming out of my way is that Sasha is going to actually get a surgery that she really needs on the paw.
Oh, your
on her
dog.
paw.
Oh,
Yeah, Sasha, my dog.
The growth.
Yeah, the cyst that she has on her paw that I was talking to Dr. J about. So she's gonna actually get a free surgery. There's this
Nice.
church clinic place. Yeah, and there's this veterinarian. I want to shout out Dr. Wolf, who performs free surgeries for people kind of needing it financially for their pets. So
I'm loving Dr. Wolf.
That's amazing.
Dude, that's hard to get. I mean, Dr. J, I'll tell you, it's hard to get surgery for free on pets anywhere. Shoot.
Random.
All right.
Good
That's
luck,
awesome.
It's nice
Sasha.
that there are programs like that. That's amazing.
Yes,
Good.
I had to look for it very hard, and we drove over an hour away, but it was worth it.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. And next up, our veterinarian pet lover, mother, streaming from Washington, D.C. area, the one we lovingly call Dr. J, Dr. Robin Johnson. I say Mr. Dr. Robin Johnson.
Hello, everybody. It has also been a busy week. I think it's also the cusp of a full moon, and so in the ER world, that means the crazies come out. But
Werewolves.
have some things that we're looking forward to. So it's gonna all mellow out at some point.
Hopefully.
It always does.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Tough weeks. I know your job is tough too. Yeah, I
Yes,
can't imagine,
it is.
especially in the emergency room. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff
Smiling.
doesn't come through the emergency room.
Mm-mm. No.
Every
Uh-uh.
so often, and we had a really good ending to a case that normally doesn't end well. This one has ended well this week, so we're on a high right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yay.
Awesome.
That's good to hear.
Lovely.
Yeah.
All right, and of course,
Hmm.
I am Neo Nix. So I told you guys that I picked back up on my social media, particularly TikTok, and I've been going viral again. I was like, wow, okay, all right. So I know y'all probably remember the series I did. It was on popular songs you didn't realize were racist.
Yes.
Well, I was kind of mad at conservatives trying to eliminate critical race theory, right? So I started a series called it's hashtag History Drop. So it's like dropping
Yeah.
little tidbits of Black history. So like I have Michelle Obama talking about the White House being built by slaves. I have Malcolm X, talking about who made Black people hate the color of their own skin. And there's one about Harriet Tubman being a spy for the Union Army. So it's been really good. Apparently, they've been pretty popular. So now if
Yeah,
anybody
that
wants
is.
to, yeah, if somebody wants to check it out, it's at Neo_Nix, NIO_NYX on TikTok. Feel free to check them out because yeah, they've been popping off too. I'm actually surprised. So
Historical
Nice.
fact.
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta
Like,
gotta counteract these conservatives and their critical race theory. I mean, it's just ridiculous how they don't want to teach history, man.
There's a couple of good people on TikTok I follow that do that, and it's some wild history that you would never know.
Yeah, you just yeah.
yeah.
I try to find stuff that people just hadn't heard before, or maybe just bringing
Yeah.
something back to life, or some little tidbit that you didn't know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. All right, time to get into it. All right, if you are on our Facebook page, which you should be, Truth Lies Shenanigans on Facebook. During the week, we share the WTF of the day, random stories that simply make you go, what? Well, on the podcast, we're going to be bringing you TLS WTF of the week.
So, my
Sorry.
friends, WTF. A guy named Victor Alvarez from Bolivia. He claims he claims that he was a human sacrifice. Let that sink in for a little bit.
A human sacrifice.
So,
Let that sink in for a little bit.
yeah, so this guy, like I said, his name is Victor. It says on the night of the there's this like reoccurring celebration of Mother Earth in Bolivia. Apparently, it's this traditional festival. And he remembers drinking and partying, with the locals. And the next thing he knows, he gets up to try to go pee, and he's in a coffin, like somewhat buried alive. So he says it's common to sacrifice like animals and bring foods and stuff like that to the festival, but he believes that the ancient practice of like human sacrifice was actually at play here. And even the cops didn't believe him. So, guys, what do you think?
Can I
You
start
just
off?
can't be going to these festivals and getting drunk and acting a fool, because
That's
then
what
you
I'm
get you
saying, man.
sacrifice to God. Like,
See, he's stupid. He's stupid in the
Terrifying.
first place.
Terrifying.
you get drunk. I mean, they tell women all the time, don't leave your drink alone. Don't leave your drinks
Ever.
alone, sir.
Oh, so he was
No,
spiked, do you think, Dr. J? His
I think
drinking?
he had to be. I think he had to be because he said the last thing he remembers is drinking, and then he wakes up and he punching himself out of a coffin. Like,
Wait,
what
what do
in
you,
the world?
Rob? What are you thinking? Out
Oh
of
my God.
curiosity.
Like, dude, I'm claustrophobic, so I can't imagine anything worse than this. Is it possible that it was a blackout drunk and then he woke up, or it was spiked? Sure. I mean, if you have ulterior motives, here, have another drink. Aren't we having a good time? Have another drink. Aren't we having a good time? Have another drink. Uh, but like,
It's so
listen,
easy.
it was meant to be like a restorative for Mother Earth because the pandemic has been so hard, and things aren't exactly great. But I don't know. This is some horrific pagan sacrifice level stuff, and I'm glad that Mr. Alvarez is okay. And when you've dug yourself out of a grave in order to survive, I will respectfully call you Mister. Hands down, Mr. Alvarez.
So, Jan, I gotta ask. So, you think this is real, right? You think this is true?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know
You
some
guys
people
have
have
lost your minds if you think this is real. There's no
this
way
is
this is real.
real.
This is not real. You know what? I started researching it. So look, I started looking for some reputable sources. I couldn't find a single one that reported on this. Rob has
This
sent a
is
link for
the
MSN, I think, and then that,
And
that
they've
thing
taken
was
it down.
they took it down. I think this is bullshit. I don't believe it. I think not
I
only
mean, but who's
not only
gonna?
was he lying, I think that I don't even. This is just ridiculous. There's no way this
I
is a
mean,
true
do you
story.
think that the people who run like the tourism, you think they're gonna let it get out that hey, we got people sacrificing people over here?
Oh,
Of
so you
course, they're
think
not
it's a
gonna find
cover
the
up? You call it
sources.
a cover up? Huh?
I'm saying there's the cover up.
No
Cover
way.
up.
It's not.
You drug
Yeah, I
that
don't think
man.
I
it's
mean,
not a story that they want circulating. One, two, it's from a country that you don't hear in the news. It's not really out there. And three, he even said that in the ancient times they used to do human sacrifice. So it's not
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, of
too far
course.
people could be doing it. I mean,
All
not
right.
too far fetched.
Okay, it's possible. Possible. I mean, I'm not gonna say 100%, but I mean, because I think it's possible it's happening here in the U.S. too. So I don't know. People go missing all the time in the U.S. So I mean,
Yeah,
okay, it's
I mean,
I'll give you possible, but I think at the very least, I think he made up his story. So I think he was bullshitting. Very least.
Poor Alvarez.
He said poor Alvarez.
Nobody believes him, not even the cop.
but
Not even
yeah,
No.
because it's not
I mean,
believable.
he had wounds. He broke his the coffin had glass or something in it. He had wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
Probably
know.
exactly. Why
fell
would
down the. He probably got drunk, fell down the something and busted
Well,
his head.
even still, don't go getting so whacked out drunk at these festivals that
Yeah,
you
I agree
think
with
you
you on
may
that.
have been sacrificed.
I yeah, I agree with you. I
you
mean, that's stupid. That should teach everyone don't get drunk. Y'all stupid because you don't know what people are doing. I mean, shoot, stalkers. The place they go is bars. When
yeah,
they're looking for people to go after, they go into the bars. So
Oh, heck
that's
yeah.
true.
And
You always have to.
I don't think Mother Earth wants people. We are the reason that there's problems. She don't want us as sacrifices.
Mother Earth.
Better give her
I can't even.
a pretty
Still acting like
flower.
this is real.
It's
I mean,
fabricated material.
they do sacrifices to
Yeah,
stuff.
people do say.
This is
Yeah,
not this. He's
and
lying,
they
and it's.
do offerings. Just don't offer people. Mother Earth doesn't want people. We don't even want people.
We don't even
Come
Yeah,
on, don't sacrifice
I'm
a
gonna say
person.
y'all.
Dr. J won the
Yeah.
show. Dr. J just won the show.
All right, let's get started with our hot topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, I'm gonna start us off this week. So, I was blown away with this week. I need to know. I need you guys to explain to me what in the hell is it going to take for this guy to be in handcuffs. I'm sure everyone's heard about the raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The FBI found a number of documents labeled with the highest of top secret status, some of which may actually have to do with nuclear information. And we've already watched him incite a mob to attack the United States Capitol. It's alleged he lied on his taxes, defrauded people and businesses. He's got a ton of cases pending. There's lots of investigations. Several of his associates, even his own lawyer, have gone to jail for him. And they even alleged criminal activity. But 6 years, no criminal charges that can stick. Plus, he's like so polarizing that his followers are literally going after FBI agents and their families because of this raid, including a White House aide who explicitly suggested it. So, I mean, on top of that, we're looking at this motherfucker's gonna thinking of running for president again. So my question is, what is it gonna take to see him in jail? What is it gonna take to see this man in jail? Let's start with Rob.
What will it take? I don't know a competent prosecution system. I mean, he's uncooperative. He's constantly in breach of process. He's broken how many federal laws? Let's see.
Today?
Violation of the
Today?
Espionage Act, right? Concealment, removal, mutilation of records, wire fraud, obstruction, witness tampering, conspiracy, inciting a rebellion. Like, I don't know what it's going to take to make something stick to this person, but
Yeah.
usually stuff sticks to dung. So I don't understand
To dung?
really what's going on. Yeah,
Are
I, I'm thinking about our YouTube
you? I was
monetization
gonna
here.
say.
I'm
I
beating
was just
myself
thinking
up a
about
little
that. You trying not you trying to avoid the cuss words.
But I'm glad you mentioned Garrett Ziegler, who's the aide who is basically doxing FBI agents.
Hmm.
Because he was saying, like, he's justifying it by saying we have to have faces. There are people ruining America. They have names and emails and addresses. And I really didn't know who he was until you put the story on our radar for the week. And when I looked him up, um, he reminded me of someone. I don't know if you've seen images of this Garrett Ziegler character.
Yeah, Ziegler.
Yeah, who does he look like to you?
I don't know. I mean, he sort of looks like somebody. Like I don't know. I can't really. I couldn't put my finger on it though.
Oh,
As soon as I saw him, I was like, okay, there's something off about this character. Every now and then you see when it's like that human's not quite right.
Garrett
Um,
Ziegler.
Timothy McVeigh, that's who he looks like.
I don't even remember what Timothy McVeigh looks like. So I
Damn.
wouldn't have picked that up.
But it was just to me, it's just like there's just something a little bit off, and he just looks like him. And then having armed Trump supporters gathered outside of the FBI office in Phoenix, I'm all for your right to protest. But don't bring guns to a protest. That's a militia marching. That's scary shit stuff.
yeah, that's
Darn it.
different.
He messing up YouTube. What do you think, Dr. J?
I think here's irony, okay? Because he signed into law the espionage and
That's
his
right. He
attempt to go
signed it.
after
You're
Hillary
right.
and sent to go after Hillary and her emails. And here this is being used against you. And
That's
the
actually
old
funny.
folks used to say, God don't like ugly, and everything done in the dark comes to light. So I think that honestly, I think a lot of this is beyond Trump. I mean, I think that a lot of
Sure.
these issues are just beyond Trump. I think that it is a fire that has been started and they can't control it anymore.
Mm.
And it's getting definitely scary because, on one hand, you claim to love law enforcement as long as it's enforcing it against the others. But if
Yeah.
it's enforcing it against you, now you suddenly have a problem. I mean, someone today was just killed themselves in front of the Capitol this morning,
Hmm.
and they're not
Wow.
sure, of course,
He killed
why.
himself.
Yeah, like he got out, ran the Capitol shooting, and eventually turned the gun on himself this morning.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's just, you just the scary part about it is that you're like, well, why did you do this? Why is this happening now? What was your what we won't be. I mean, they're looking out to try to find the person's motives, but you kind of are thinking like were you a supporter of now that there's this whole anti FBI, and then people are acting like, oh my gosh, they can come after us. They've always been able to come after us.
Hmm.
The average person. Like, this ain't new. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just don't understand the disconnect that's happening here. And because I hear these words coming out of these people's mouths, and I'm like, there have been people in this country saying the exact same thing for years, and you dismiss them. And
Hmm.
now, as Malcolm X said, the chickens have come home to roost.
Roost.
Cluck cluck.
All of all of his followers seem highly undereducated. I just it's so strange to me, Johnny. What's it gonna take to get him in
I,
jail?
I mean, I agree that I think it was in the article, but they said no one should be above the law. I agree, even including the president. I just have a feeling that him, like a lot of people, are just good at getting by. Like they're good at doing it. They're good at being above the law. They get by. But I agree with Dr. J. I feel like his time is coming. It may not seem
I
like
don't
that, and it
believe
just
it.
seems like he has like I know, but he has like this laundry list of all these crimes. I feel like it's only time. You know what I mean? That momentum is just starting to fall off. So I think it's almost time. I don't know, but I do. So I think you guys might disagree with me on this one. I feel like a lot of people were talking about Trump showing the warrants that he has now from the FBI, and if he shows the warrants and he claims also that it was wrong for them to
You
uh,
might be talking about the
raid.
affidavits
Yeah. Oh, is it the affidavit? Yeah,
because they
yeah,
already seen the
yeah.
warrant. They have the warrant. Because
Okay.
the judge unsealed the warrants. I think it was Friday. I think the
Yeah.
judge unsealed the warrants Friday, um, and which is why they know why the press knows what was taken from the home from Mar-a-Lago. But the affidavits, which is the evidence that the prosecutor has to provide to the judge, um, that's what's not been opened yet.
That's what he's not shown.
Yeah, they haven't shown the affidavit, so this is the evidence for getting the warrants.
Because I was going to say originally before I knew that was that basically I wouldn't think that that makes him guilty by not showing that, because if you think about it, showcasing this evidence could lead people to just make up something that they don't know the full story of.
Right.
But now that this is actually the actual evidence, okay, yikes.
Yeah.
That's yikes.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the news, right? So you look at the news like ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and this goes to what Dr. J was saying. You know, they're all talking about how serious these charges are, how unprecedented this is. Well, you guys know I like to switch over to Fox News every now and then just to see what in the hell they're talking about and to see just the difference, right? And so the whole time it was like they were reading directly from Trump's like lawyer's defense package. It's like Trump took these classified documents, but isn't it the president's ultimate authority on what is classified and not? Or, he can declassify anything if he wants to, if he wanted to
Oh,
as a
like
president. That's his defense. And then they were talking about like the Department of Justice. They waited 4 weeks to serve the warrant, so it must not have been that important, right? This is what the Fox News is saying, right? Or then they're like, Biden says he didn't know anything about the raid. Isn't he supposed to know everything about the raid? Why would
this
he
is
know
horrible.
about the raid? I mean, and on top of that, Fox News even posted a doctored picture of the judge that had approved the warrant, supposedly sitting in a plane next to Ghislaine Maxwell. That's the woman who helped Jeffrey
Ah,
Epstein rape all those little girls, right? I mean,
Yeah.
a doctored picture. This is what they posted on. This is what they on a news on one of their news episodes. So I mean,
Trump was friends with them too,
right? I mean,
and Trump appointed the judge.
that's another
He
good
appointed
point.
the judge.
That's another good point. I mean,
He
but
appointed
it's
the
just
judge. He did the act, and now you're acting surprised. I don't know. I don't feel sorry for you. Look,
I don't either.
look.
I'm just tired of this Fox News bullshit. Sorry,
so
Rob.
one thing,
Who are you?
one thing that's very notable about the FBI search, the one thing they weren't able to turn up was Melania.
Oh my goodness, that's about turn up my.
That's terrible, sir.
Rob being a
Just
bad
We
jokes.
haven't
saying.
All
seen her
right,
though.
let's
We
get.
haven't seen her. Same.
That's true, actually. We haven't seen Melania in a while.
I
I
don't even
mean,
think
maybe after.
did we see her at Ivanka's funeral?
I
I mean,
don't
I
even
didn't
know.
go
I didn't
follow it,
look at that.
but
I didn't follow
I
it,
don't
but
remember seeing any pictures of her at the funeral.
oh, she's
Yeah,
been
what's
missing.
going
I
on?
mean,
It's been a while.
Where are they hiding her?
if I were Melania, I'd try to get out of the limelight too, out of Trump, limelight, as much as possible.
Mhm.
I'd
I
be
can see
hiding
that.
out.
Yeah.
Be hiding out. All right, Jacqueline Robinson's online, and I'm just taking a quick glance to see. Okay, Jacqueline Robinson's online. It will take the will of the people I find it fascinating that the same people who defend the police, when they go upside their heads of people of color, are now shrieking about defunding the FBI. That's true, actually.
Exactly. Exactly.
She also
It's a
says
fact.
mainstream media have failed miserably. All they have been doing is parroting and amplifying GOP talking points, and it's disgusting. This is what is leading to the crazed responses from the MAGA crowd. 100% true. 100% true. I mean, and like I say, just like the Fox News stuff, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, when you said it's like this fire that started, they're flaming the fire big time.
Oh,
Oh
they've been
yeah.
flaming it. They've flamed it for the past 10 years. I mean, this was before Trump that this fire started, and now it's
Mhm.
just out of control, and they can't control it.
Trump even said it himself. He said, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters. It's like incredible. End quote.
My
Hmm.
God, that's
Sociopaths say
kind of
stuff like that.
scary. Yeah,
But it's
I
so
would
true,
feel like
though. It feels so true. I really do think he could literally go into Fifth Avenue and he still wouldn't get arrested. I don't
I
know.
agree.
I'm
It
just
would
I think
justify.
frustrated.
he'd get arrested.
Oh,
Oh
he would
yeah, he'd get arrested,
maybe.
but he'd have supporters still. He'd still have supporters somehow.
I think there's someone in police officer in New York will let him off. I,
Yikes.
I don't know. All I'm saying is it's just frustrating me. All right. Is this truth, lies, or
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
I don't even know what.
Shenanigan truth.
I'm just so tired of.
Right? I mean, there's some
I want him in
truth,
jail
there's some
so bad.
bull,
Yeah.
truth,
I want him in
and
jail
Truth.
bull.
so bad. And he just go to jail.
Right?
Just go to jail.
Do not pass go. Go
I
directly
don't
to
even
jail.
care
Do
if they
not
give
drop
him a
200.
really nice prison. Just go. Just don't want to hear from him again. I want him to be gone. All right, Dr. J.
He'll come.
Okay.
We got
So
Lies, shenanigans.
some nonsense in Florida you got going on.
nothing good follows the words in Florida. Sorry to anyone in Florida who's listening, but nothing good. So in Florida, a school teacher, a special education teacher, had made a bulletin board for his classroom where he had prominent African Americans and the Pledge of Allegiance on the board. He also had a picture of Obama on his desk. He is claiming that the one of the administrators of the school came in and just started taking the pictures down and took the picture off the desk and said that this is not age appropriate. And the teacher, you know, claims that he was not really explained to why this was the case. And he wrote a resignation letter to the governor and the school district,
Ron
resigning
DeSantis.
before the first day of school. Now, this teacher um, happens to not be a person of color. And he said that he wanted those things on the board because he felt that they were things that his students could look up to. The
So,
question
so
becomes
when you say not a person of color, you're saying he was a white man.
yes, he was not, yeah, the teacher was not a person of color. And so um, the question becomes because Florida has been a very heavy advocator about no CRT, even though putting pictures up would not be CRT.
Critical race theory.
Um, but this has been a big rallying cry in Florida. So where is the line? I mean, are you now officially describing what you mean by CRT as anything that is not mainstream? Um, and you know, what do you think? I mean, this teacher resigned, and Florida's already facing a teaching crisis. They're talking about putting just anybody in a classroom at this point because they have that bad a shortage of teachers. And here
Mhm.
you
Oh
are
my God.
losing a special ed teacher in particular, which are hard to come by.
They are hard to come
And
by.
that's a
That's
specialized teacher. Like, you can't just put anybody in a special ed class. So, is this becoming worth it to start losing the teachers that you do have over something that's really hazy. I mean, it's very hazy about what do you mean it's not age appropriate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start with Johnny Stone.
It would be interesting. My first thought was who they would consider appropriate to showcase. Like, what pictures? Would it be other presidents? Would it be President Lincoln? Like, who would be appropriate to showcase is my first question. But I think it's very racist. I don't even say that a lot, but I do think it's a very racist move, and I think it's controlling. I think they wanted to control, maybe if it's not the culture of the school, then it's just Florida. It's just they wanted to like control that narrative of who is to be seen as maybe like a leader or a hero or things like that. That when kids look up at the poster in their classroom, obviously they're looking up as something that they know um, is something that they should aspire to, in a sense. So,
Hmm.
Mhm.
And black people, they shouldn't be aspiring to.
I mean, they also removed. I mean, we also he had the Pledge of Allegiance up there, and they also removed that.
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
So
weird. I
it's
don't
not even
mind it.
just the pictures.
If I remember correctly
I
from
mean,
what I was reading, these were resource specialists for special ed, and they supposedly there was a response. And Robbie, you may have more information on that. I know you mentioned that, but
Mhm.
apparently they had a response where they said that the information, meaning pictures of black leaders, I guess the Pledge of Allegiance, etc., were not appropriate for those particular types of students, which still makes no sense. But Robbie, go
Mhm.
ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, just the story, how the story presented itself is pretty I mean, the situation is kind of despicable. As the display included notable people like Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman, Colin Powell, George Washington, George Washington Carver. And like you mentioned, the picture of Barack Obama was also removed under the guise of it isn't age appropriate. So, have these kids learned about any other president at school, then why not Barack? I can only think of one difference between him and the other presidents, really, if you're presenting it in a picture. So the kids are too young to learn about this president? No.
and the
So I would,
argument I think the school district said was that only school sanctioned things can be put on a board and within eyesight, and that
yes,
the
because the
material.
issue was that the display board was behind his desk. And because these are special ed students, that the materials needed to be dedicated to state required curricular materials. And he would need to just needed to engage the specific group of students in their daily learning and development activity. So they're finding
But
some,
the school board
they're just,
also said they also said the school board and I think it was the principal also said the teachers are allowed to decorate their rooms the way they see fit.
yeah, the
That they
superintendent.
absolutely.
the
But if
superintendent, thank you.
there's, but if and that's it's the location of it because it's directly behind his desk. It needs to meet this certain criteria. Um, but the school district also went on to say that they were shocked to learn about the teacher's allegations because when he was asked if the posters could be removed, he said, yes, do whatever needs to be done. So there's definitely some mixed messaging coming from this story. So we've got a he said, they said kind of situation. And really using, I'm not a special ed teacher, so I don't know what the requirements are. I don't know if it's a distraction. Kids are prone to visual stimuli. So if I have stuff that isn't part of the state sanctioned curriculum or their teaching initiatives, then I can display it in other spaces in my classroom. I can challenge that
Right.
loophole, but I think that they're just splitting hairs at this point, and
I,
relocate
It
it
was
to a
just too
different area
specific.
rather than take it down.
I'm
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna, having a special needs child and spending a lot of time in a special needs classroom.
Mhm.
Um, the teacher's constantly moving. It's not like, what you think of a traditional classroom where the teacher's sitting up front and they're pointing to the blackboard and they're teaching. That doesn't happen in special needs classrooms. It is a lot of one on one. It's a lot of with each individual student individually. and working through whatever it is, because you have a whole classroom of students with an IEP, and each child has a different individualized education plan that you have to adjust to as a teacher. And so I am a little bit disturbed in that, so you say, okay, the state sanctioned things have to be on the bulletin boards. Well, that's okay, fine. If that's the case, fine. The picture of Obama was on his desk. It was not
Right.
on a
Yeah.
bulletin
And
board.
that was going to
That
be
was
my
removed
point.
also.
Hmm.
Wow.
And, and to say this is not age appropriate, I don't understand, I mean,
And they didn't just
considering that
they,
most,
they took them. They didn't just take them
yeah,
down. They literally took
yeah.
them out of the
They
classroom.
didn't say to him, yeah, they didn't say, okay, you can't have this here, you can
Right.
move this here.
Right.
They just took it and removed it from the classroom.
From his desk.
And it's like, what part of Martin Luther King is not an age appropriate? Like, literally, it's the one person that you put up every year for Black History Month of all the
At
people
If
that
you
all,
you
if you
could
don't
put up.
put anyone else up, you're putting Martin Luther
You
King
talk
up.
about Martin Luther King.
yeah,
You
if
may talk
anything.
about, you may talk
President.
about George Washington Carver. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even talk about George Washington Carver. I give him props for putting George Washington Carver up, for putting somebody different. But, I mean, it just, it's like, what you, and clearly this classroom, this school, he said specifically, it's for my students. It's for my
Yeah.
students to feel this
Yeah.
way. So he is teaching in a classroom that there must be, from what his words are saying, a heavily minority population. And he said, I want them to have somebody to look up to and to be proud about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is American history. This is American history. These people are American history.
Yep.
Whether you like the history, that the era of the history and what their purpose is, how they became to be historic, you may not like
Yeah.
it. It may make you feel uncomfortable, but this is American history and all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just angry on both, on multiple levels. Like, one, as a special needs mom, like knowing that I have a child with special needs, and I'd be very upset if the teacher put some things up that she feels is appropriate for the classroom, and you took it down, talking about it's not age appropriate. I'd be upset about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacqueline Robinson online says what Death Santis is doing is to Florida is outrageous. Every accusation is a confession. They claim that the teaching of Black history is indoctrination. Yet he only wants an Eurocentric education system to indoctrinate children with a doctored history. And that goes
That's
along to
so
what I
sad.
was thinking because there's no question this is Ron DeSantis' suppression of Black history because of what they're calling white guilt. That's the reason that critical race theory they're so fearful of it. And if they have their way, you'll never know about the trials and tribulations of Black people in America. You'll never understand what initiatives like affirmative action or reparations and why they're so important to consider just to get Black people on something close to even common ground. And this type of story is actually why I was talking about the history drops earlier on TikTok. And this type of story is exactly why I started doing that. Like, I want to show you this comment. So I posted a video of uh, author James Baldwin, right, debating with a man who basically claimed racism didn't exist and that all Black people have to do is work hard like Baldwin, and they'll be successful. So here's the comment. So this is from Pepper Smack 1581. I said, I think we should all appreciate how far we've come rather than dwell on the past. That's the only way forward. Right. So I'm like, all right, without that understanding of where the pain originates, the differences will grow. History will repeat itself. We need common ground instead. And then Pepper Smack decided to say, would you want to be reminded of white exceptionalism every day? How much you should be grateful for white people's contributions? Probably not. I mean, I was blown. But
Yeah.
anyway, I said, you don't get it. I'm already reminded of white exceptionalism every single day. It's hard for you, him, to see the
Yeah.
clouds when you live
Yeah.
among them. It's about changing your perspective. I mean, I was blown. I said, white exceptionalism? You know, he can't see that we see the monuments to white people, the numerous award shows that all go to white people, our leaders around the world, even, uh,
Yeah.
movies, television. I mean, white exceptionalism, it's in our faces all the time, right? And he can't see that because it's all around him and it's people like him, you know? And the truth is, we can't control white guilt or what white people feel. If I figure if white individuals feel guilty, but they believe they didn't do anything wrong, then what's the problem, right? Where is that feeling of
Mhm.
guilt actually coming from? For the sake of argument, let's say my father, my grandfather, whatever, shot somebody, right? Maybe I don't know, they shot somebody, but I never shot anybody, right? I'm not going to feel guilty. Just because my dumbass father shot someone, I'm not going to feel guilty. I might feel bad for that person or something like that, but I'm not going to feel guilty like I did something.
Right.
But think about it. If I heard stories about my father, his past, my grandfather, his past, whatever, maybe being abusive, maybe he fought a lot, or maybe he was rude or whatever. And I start to realize or notice some of those things in me, I might feel a little guilty because maybe I'm
I
doing some
see.
of those things, you know what I'm saying? And maybe
Mhm.
at some point I might ultimately do what they did, you know?
I see.
The
That's
guilt,
a good.
it doesn't come from like,
And
learning about
But
your ancestors.
so I just, from my perspective,
Mhm.
when when Canada started finding these mass graves at the residential schools, I can, it made me feel gross as a Canadian
Yeah.
because I was guilty of ignorance and I was guilty of complacency. I really, these stories were already out there. I just really didn't dive into it. It wasn't anything but, it was numbers that thrown in our face that made me go, shit, this is really something bigger than I ever thought it was. So white guilt, I think the term is right in that respect because there is something about it that, well, it's just my place in society that,
But
yeah,
Rob,
I just didn't feel.
it, I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling that way. I'm saying you shouldn't feel guilty. I don't know if guilty is the right
I
word. You
think
should
I
feel
the
yeah,
issue
bad for the
I
becomes
don't feel
situation.
it,
I'm not responsible,
Right.
but there's still that guilt because of my part. My part in it was ignorance and complacency, and I can absolutely own those things.
I mean, I think the problem becomes is that when you try to use the guilt as a reason to suppress that
Hmm.
information.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
these are stories, a lot of the things that they're trying to suppress or the history they're trying to suppress within communities of color, it's been a well known fact for a long time. Tulsa massacre, within the communities of color, we have known that.
Hmm.
Um, those stories have been passed down. It's just now they're teaching it, and there's a group of people who are learning it for the first time for them. They're experiencing this guilt, and now they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, well, I don't want my kids to learn that." Like,
You know,
but it's the history that happened.
we know we're out of time, but
We
Rob,
had
I
to
mean,
learn it. We had to live it.
you make a good point. And to your point, Rob, it's not necessarily learning what your ancestors did, right? That's maybe making you feel guilty. It's realizing that you know there may have been that you maybe, even if you said ignorance was a good one, right?
Play your
Ignorance of the
part.
situation, right? Or there may be a part
Mhm.
in today's society that if you did, as you learn this information, right, as you learn this information, I don't know that it's guilt, but you're probably feeling like, okay, I may have had some
Responsible.
similar thoughts, not responsible, but you may have had similar thoughts, you may have had different a way of thinking that needs to change now, right? And so it's not necessarily guilt. It's just like understanding that, hey, based upon what's happened in the past, I've had similar thoughts because my parents may have taught me something. The way I grew up, the environment I grew up is very similar to the things that happened in the past. And now it's
Yeah.
time for me to see something different. And so
Yeah.
that's maybe what you're feeling. I don't know that guilt is the right term, but that's a good feeling. You're
Mhm.
basically learning from history, and it's the only reason to really teach history, right? I mean, it's to learn from it. And to, when there's good
Yeah.
things, you repeat those. When there's bad things, you try not to do the same thing again. How will you ever
Yes.
actually get better or without if you're not recognizing when you're perpetuating a problem?
I
100.
feel like that requires people to be good people, like a trait that's
Yeah,
in like
that's a very good point
me.
too.
Like, let
I
me
mean, to
grow.
be able to
Like,
recognize it, you got to be a good person in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, all right. Oh, I got a lot of comments online. Let me get to those. About the. All right, Tracy Gore. When did the American dream become this nightmare? Good gosh, that's profound. Um, Daria Winter. Hey, Daria, how are you? Then what is the truth of the world they are manufacturing? There's no concern for the damage the false narrative of history has created in other children. Great point. Jacqueline Robinson, if black children can experience racism, then white children can learn about it. That is fantastic. If black children can experience racism, why can't white children learn about it? This isn't about hurting people's feelings. History is messy and imperfect, including the history of our own nation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great, great comments. All right, is this truth, lies,
Truth,
or shenanigans?
lies, shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
yeah, I agree, Rob.
Stupid.
I don't know what they're doing
Shenanigans.
over there. I don't know what they're doing over there. Shenanigans. I mean, it's Florida, man.
It's
Goodness.
Florida. It's a shenanigans story.
Nothing good comes from
Nothing
after the
good.
words in Florida.
I don't
Sorry.
know if you
Sorry.
remember when East used to be on. He used to say the same thing. That would be he would just come up with stories and it's like, here's another Florida story. It's like, I'm like,
It's true.
that was a couple of years ago, but anyway. All right. All right, Rob B. You got a star athlete getting a speeding ticket. What's up?
Truth,
All
lies,
right.
shenanigans.
I have some travel advice for anyone planning to visit Finland. If you drive, don't speed. Speeding in Finland can cost a fortune because, well, the speeding ticket just isn't based on the severity of the offense. The country operates by using a day fine system that is calculated on the basis of the offender's daily disposable income.
Oh,
So the value is generally, half of their daily salary. But yeah, so this was in May of 2019. Rasmus Ristolainen was fined just north of 120,000 euros. He was traveling 81 kilometers in an hour in a 40-kilometer zone. So he was doing just over 50 miles an hour in a posted 25. So for his actions, he was sentenced to 40-day fines. And at the time, he was a 24-year-old up and coming NHLer, and he was on the third year of a 6 year, $32.4 million contract. So it's believed that this is the most expensive speeding ticket ever handed out in Finland. So
maybe
I
in
am
history.
very curious, right? I mean, this is a big one, but he's not the only one.
Really,
Um, and just for additional context with the day fines, so Finnish fines consist of this applies to all fines. So this isn't just traffic law. So it consists of a minimum of 1 day fine up to a maximum of 120-day fine. So, like I said earlier, for context, a day fine is equal to about one half of your daily disposable income. So if severe crimes are pushed together, you can get up to 240-day fines. This is just crazy. The minimum is €6. Now, we have a very North American way of thinking about the fines and the systems. And my question to you is this fair?
Hmm. What do you think, Dr. J?
I mean, fair in that it is equally applied amongst everybody. So you can't complain about the way the fine is calculated because it's calculated across the board for
Mhm.
everyone. It's just a really astronomical amount of a speeding ticket um,
yeah.
that is there. It's like, but it's like, hey, you think you're above the law because you're the big time NFL player? Well, guess what? You're gonna pay the big time money. So,
I mean, I
um,
bet you ain't gonna speed again in Finland.
uh,
Yeah.
would not even
Right?
drive again. Would not drive. Have a driver. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Um, and pay the driver €2 a day. Um, but
Yeah,
um,
right. I mean, you'd be cheaper.
yeah, I just as it's kind of weird. I mean, because again, having the Americanized view about how we find things and stuff. So it's like, oh my gosh, how could you, you know, why are you causing this person to pay this a great amount of money?
Extreme.
But
Yeah.
uh, but everybody, I mean, you know the rules. You live there. This is your home. You knew the rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. So like for me, it's like, and I'm totally with you on that one. So Brittany Griner, I know this is an old topic, but but it brought up Brittany Griner for me. The way I see it, you go to a foreign land, you follow the rules. You know, I can see if you're visiting a country maybe for the first time or something, or you don't real like for example, if I didn't realize jaywalking is a crime, and they give me 20 years for jaywalking, I mean, then yeah, okay, that's kind of bull, but somebody told Brittany that CBD was illegal. You know, it doesn't matter that my laws at home allow me to have it, whatever. You know, you know, but this dude, he was from Finland.
This was in his hometown. That's he
You,
was the
Yeah,
speeding infraction was in his hometown. I mean,
it,
think about it, man. Like 50 miles an hour in a residential area. That's
it's
you know,
fast.
it's
that's fast, man.
it's simple for
That's
me.
dangerous.
You break the
That's
laws,
dangerous.
you pay the price. It's simple. You know. And if it were me, I would hope for leniency. Like if it happened to me, let's say I went to Finland and I was speeding, I would hope for leniency, right? Because I'm my first time. In most cases, I probably would, but someone knowingly breaking the laws, you know, even if it's a simple mistake, like Brittany Griner, just happened to leave the CBD thing in her bag, whatever. You know, no, Brittany Griner is slightly different because she is being used as a pawn or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, you know, and I do hope that we can get her out because I think the sentence was a bit much. I do hope the
Yeah.
best for her, but I want to say that much. But you know, definitely she shouldn't have broken the law. Go ahead, Johnny. Johnny, what are your thoughts?
I feel I feel it's too extreme, guys. What are you talking about? Like, I know that it's based on your own income, so technically, if it happened to me, it would be based on how much I made. One, this is coming from like from our point of view, though,
So
like an
yours would have been like
Americanized,
$1 million or something, right? You're fine. You
clearly.
rich.
So I would have been, so I would have been out of luck. No, I just think, but I do think that Finland, I can't say for all Finnish people, but I think Finland has maybe a better relationship with their government or their system. So I feel like they would respect something like this, and that's probably why they're able to implement like not this one size fits all kind of taxing system. They're able to do this. But coming from our standpoint, I don't see how that could work. I think that there's too many rich people here that feel like, well, they don't even want to pay their own taxes. Why would they want to?
Ah,
Like, it's too much. So I feel like it wouldn't work here. But and I think it's a little extreme.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen. I mean,
I
but
might
Robbie,
visit Finland.
so I think it's a very interesting way of approaching fines because the system that we currently have in North America disadvantages the poor. Because why should the same infraction break one person and barely inconvenience the next? So, because when we become drivers, there's a societal contract that we are going to obey the traffic laws. When we violate that, it really should be the penalty is the same and it's applied fairly across the entire board. Because if you're barely scraping by, $300 means you're not eating much that week, if at all. And some of your bills aren't going to get paid. If you're pulling six figures, or if you're if you're driving a $300,000 car, I'm sorry, $300 is an inconvenience. There's zero equity in that.
so you'll keep
There's
speeding.
equity in so this person is going to keep speeding regardless because there's no consequence to that. When you make it proportionate to what somebody's income is, now you're applying same punishment for the same infraction. And that's where the fairness lies, Johnny. I know that Lizzie shared some information with us because she, as she has shared several times. She lived in Finland for a little bit. But Finland has one of the lowest speeding and road traffic fatality percentages in Europe. Sweden is the lowest, followed by the UK. One of her neighbors was once fined $25,000 for a speeding ticket.
Wow.
And you're
See?
right, Johnny, in that rich people don't want to pay their taxes, right? And you have so many societal problems because there's no funding for it. In Finland, they pay higher taxes, but they have a higher standard of living. They have free education, free healthcare, your pension and your retirement is taken care of. So you have a better quality of
Okay.
life overall. There's a benefit to paying taxes. And unfortunately, that mindset is really bad. It's toxic in the US, where it's what's mine is mine. Don't want the government in my pocket. Yeah, but guess what? It's yours, but only because the government has, leased you concessions, has leased you land. They can come take the stuff away from you at any time. But you're only successful because of where you are. And why wouldn't you want to prop up your entire society as a whole?
People aren't
I
good
don't know.
people.
That's the socialist in me. So
Well,
mm,
yeah. And I'm not against socialism at all. Um, yeah, I think I'm not against it at all. Actually,
yeah.
I know our country, the U.S., is very anti-socialist. Um, but when you realize what socialism really is,
Mhm.
it's not Cold War or Russia type stuff, which is nonsense. But of course, the GOP has a large group of people that are not really educated enough to understand the difference.
Yep.
All right, a couple of comments online. Sherry Blaine Savory. Sounds fair. He should know the rules and drive properly. If you want to speed, it will cost you, and dude, needs to pay up.
Yep.
Uh, Jacqueline says, Rob makes an excellent point about how our system grossly penalizes poor people who can't pay even the most minimum of fines. I was there.
Yeah.
I remember when I got some
Yep.
tickets. I'm like, oh my god. I
Well, I'm walking
had
to work because I can't put gas in the car.
shoot. I just had to have some pending tickets. That's the way it was
Yeah.
back in the day. Shoot, I remember them days. Now my wife makes sure I
Yeah.
pay them all. All right, is this truth, lies, or
Truth,
shenanigans?
lies, shenanigans.
Well, it's true.
Robbie brought
We're
us some
It's
true.
a
truth.
true situation,
Robbie brought us some truth
and
today.
I agree with
Truth.
it.
Yep.
So we're
Things
true.
extreme, but hey, it works for Finland.
All right, bro.
I don't think it's extreme. I think it's just new to me. Like it's just me in my
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but
bubble.
it's not a lot
A
to him.
lot.
All right,
Right?
A lot.
let's get to our
True,
game
not
show.
to him.
Our game. All right, today's game is Most Likely To. The app will give us the question, who is most likely to do something like eat bugs or get an important event? We will all yell out a name of somebody on the panel and point to that person. The person with the most points, most people pointing at them scores a point. Too many points. All right, the person with the most points wins the final final thought for
We
the
get the
show.
point. We get the
You
point.
got the point. All right. As long as you got the point and get some points by getting points by pointing, you should be good. All right.
Taken.
Yeah, nice, Rob. All right. All right, let's get started. Who is most likely to be late for an important event?
Neo.
Me.
With Neo.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it would be me. But
All right, so we
Neo
got
probably.
Robbie. So Dr. J, who you?
That's it.
Dr. J.
I would
Okay,
say
Neo.
I would.
You would. Okay, that's your point to yourself. Okay. So Neo, I get a point. Neo gets a point.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, what's up next? Who is most likely to indulge in late night snacking? Robbie.
I don't know.
I think
Can I get? Where's the
Rob.
pointer?
This
Robbie.
guy.
So Dr. J said
Wait,
Rob. Yanni's got Rob. Okay, Robbie gets.
I'll say Rob. I don't late night.
I'm a grazer. I don't eat
Oh.
meals, so I do get hungry every now and then.
All right, who's most
I'm like
who's most
late night
likely to get
snacks as
punched in the
well.
face?
Ooh.
Johnny
Ooh,
lives in Atlanta.
probably me. Yeah, I feel like
I was gonna say Rob B, but Johnny says so herself.
I'm giving this to young blood. Absolutely, man.
What you saying, Dr. J?
Oh,
Who you picking?
I'm gonna go with Rob's thinking.
All right, so Rob B and Gianni's a tie. All right. Rob B and Gianni. All right, Rob B, you got 2 points. Gianni 1, me 1. All right. Who is most likely to buy the same gift more than once?
Neo.
Neo.
Damn. I mean, you're
Why
right,
you?
but damn, does it have to be everybody? Yeah.
Good.
I think you've been committed to doing stuff like this already.
Everybody. Okay. All right. All right. Who's most likely to get their car keyed?
Gianni for living in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to
Gianni
Gianni.
for living in Atlanta.
I'm giving it to Gianni.
That's a really good point.
All right, Gianni. So 2 points. All dang, Dr. J, you're the good one in the group apparently.
I know this.
All right. Who's most likely to get pissed and say something regretful?
I've done it.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with
You know what? I'll give Dr. J this one then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
I
Dr.
believe
J.
her.
Dr. J.
I feel
All
like
right.
you say something. It might.
I usually take my time before I speak. Usually. Sometimes I've said some things, but usually I try. Oh, who's most likely to get robbed? Oh,
Johnny lives in Atlanta, right?
maybe we just picking on Johnny because she lives in Atlanta.
Good argument.
Gianni's got 3
argument.
points.
I'm here for that argument.
Another good point.
All right, this is,
Another good
we're gonna do 2 more and see where we are. We're gonna do 2 more and see where we are. All right. All right. Who's most likely to remain calm during a storm?
Maybe Rob.
Point to
I
me.
love
Rob and Neo, maybe.
Rob wins it. Okay, so Rob B, you get a point, so you're tied with Gianni. All right, this last one is between Gianni and Rob B. Let's see who's most likely between Gianni and Rob B. This is for the win.
Uh-oh.
Who's most likely to go to a party just for the food?
Probably Rob.
I'm going with Gianni.
Gianni's a college
Really?
student.
I know, right? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Shoot, she hungry.
I would just eat the food if I had
I
to
can't
go.
argue with that rationale, Dr. J. I cannot argue with that
Gianni
rationale.
hungry, man. All right, Gianni, you win the game today. Nice, Gianni. All right, let's get in some final shout outs. All right, let's start with Gianni, the winner.
Shout out to all of the, I'm gonna shout out Dr. Wolf again. Shout out to all of the veterinarians and all of the programs that are helping animals. Please do that more.
Love it.
Like, I don't know how to have that initiative, but keep doing that, please, for animals. Please do it.
Get a clap. All right, Robbie Rock.
Shout out to this guy.
Who are you showing?
So that is
Cute.
me and my good friend Sylvain.
Who is it?
Look at Rob.
Sylvain. This is one of my oldest friends, and this was taken in 1978. So when we were 6 and 5. And if you look closely, that's
you're
not
old,
the
Rob.
Frisbee I'm holding.
Yeah, I see.
That's an ashtray. Why? Why am I holding an ashtray?
6-year-old holding an ashtray.
What?
It's
That was the way back then.
It's mine.
All right, Dr. J, shout outs.
I'm gonna shout out to Float Annapolis. Earlier today I did a sensory deprivation chamber float, and it was a pretty interesting experience. And the girl there was very sweet and kind, and it was a very interesting experience.
Sensory
If you remember
deprivation.
The Simpsons. Do you remember the Simpsons episode about it? Kind of like that.
Wow.
But my skin
That's
feels
interesting.
soft.
Ooh.
Amazing.
All right, and my shout out goes to the DC volleyball community So the gym I usually go to on Thursdays was closed. So I found this place on Friday nights. It was open from 8 to 11 p.m. on a Friday night. So here I'm figuring I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna show up, and there's gonna be just a few people there, and it was humming, right? I mean, and I'm not talking like picnic volleyball. I'm talking about competitive volleyball, the kind of volleyball I like, right? Where you better be paying attention, or you might get hit in the face with a ball, like in the Fockers, right? Just a game, fucker. Just a game, fucker. All right. So shout out to my DC volleyball people. All right.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun night too. All right. And that is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope that you maybe learned something, gained a new perspective, even got some things off your chest. Now, we only have 2 episodes left before we shut it down for season 3 and take a little break for the month of September. So we will be back live next Sunday, 7 p.m. Make sure you're here. And it looks like our winner for our final thought of the day is Miss Gianni Storm. Gianni, close us out.
Finally.
Finally.
I just want to shout out to my little sister Janaya. She turned 16, and shout out to all the kids going back to school. I don't know how it is to go back to school during these times, but good luck, and I wish you guys all the best and a great school year.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of kids going to school this a couple of weeks, so I gotta go by and say goodbye to all my nieces and nephews leaving. So
Parents everywhere rejoicing. Yes. They're going back.
All right. Well, thank you, Robbie Rock, Gianni, Dr. Robin Johnson, aka Dr. J. But most importantly, thank you for watching and listening to our shenanigans each and every week. And we will see you next time.